Boo! Did I scare you? Probably not. But as you can tell, it is Halloween here at the Gare Bear Review, and we are more than excited. But unfortunately, we're gonna go over a movie called Rush and not Nightmare Before Christmas, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, anything involving Halloween. But as you can clearly see by my outfit, my lovely staff decided to put me in a cat uniform. Yes, I am the Cat in the Hat, and I'll be your host for the Halloween edition of the Gare Bear Review. So yes, we're gonna go over Rush. It got derived from the original story of the Indy stock car racing rivalry of Niki Lauda and James Hunt. It was a pretty standard rivalry film. It had its rise, its downfall, its destruction, and it just had so much more. This film actually had everything you needed for a story, which included a rivalry. Now, if you don't know, like I said before, this film is actually based off a real rivalry between Niki Lauda and James Hunt, who are, depending on your speeching preferences. But yes, this actually uh, raced. It was actually a racing film, and it was an actual rivalry. Again, they actually raced against each other in an Indy stock car circuit in the 1970s, and it captures so many great parts of their rivalry. Now, keep in mind, the film really only showed, I'd say, maybe about maybe 2, 3 years, of their career. Obviously, it started from the very beginning, from when they actually started in Formula 3, which is like the minors of stock car racing. But it was definitely worth seeing it, but it was definitely worth seeing the style of Peter Morgan was, it was just genius, on it was just so much genius was into this film on so many accounts. He drew me into the story. They drew me into the story the minute it started, from its first scene. Now, Morgan is well known for his excellent writing, his screenplays. You know, uh, I mean, just Frost Nixon, the play, not even just the movie, the play, the old other Bowling Girl, Last King of Scotland. So he's made his name around the film circuit. Not to mention, it's my personal favorite director and actor, Mr. Ron Howard, a recurring character who, if you didn't know, on Dennis the Menace and jumping ahead to the '60s, was Opie on the Andy Griffith Show. And his directing genius was, you just can't go out without mentioning, Backdraft, Apollo 13, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Da Vinci Code. I mean, the list can go on, and Rush is no exception here. It was directed amazingly. Can you cannot tell on how you can't really tell on how amazing this film is unless you see it for yourself. This film shows you everything, and it was done very brilliantly. The film, it isn't really one-sided, which I really loved about it. It didn't show like Hunt's side more, or even Lauda's. It's continuously split equally between the stories. And please don't get me started on the casting here. I mean, when I saw that Chris Hemsworth, if you don't know, Thor, and Daniel Bruhal, I can't even pronounce his name. He's actually German, which is actually why they got him. One of the main reasons why they got him, so they can actually you can actually hear the part instead of actually just see it. You might actually you've probably seen Daniel actually from Inglourious Basterds, maybe Born Ultimatum. He's done a couple other films, but it was a few German films. But when I found out and saw that these two were actually look like their counterparts, I went nuts. I actually lost it. It's great when you have good impressionists and someone look alike, but when you nab both, you have some that actually look like the part and actually can act the part. You actually have something special here, and it's amazing. Obviously, what makes this film even more enjoyable than just sitting there. Which is why, again, obviously, if you haven't figured it out by now, I am definitely, yes, I highly recommend this film. Even if you're not a fan of racing, I guarantee you actually will enjoy this film. I did. Um, it was just heart-pumping action after heart-pumping action. It got me at the edge of my seat, you know, wondering what's going to happen next. I actually did the research after I saw the film. It was very amazing to see what actually happened, you know, throughout the rivalry. It's a very interesting story, and it's actually, I like that it's being told here, especially after what happened to Nikki. If you don't know, he actually got like half his face like burned off, because probably even worse than that actually. Um, the makeup job, by the way, on his face was stunning. You know, I actually felt grotesque looking at his face. It was very mind melting. It was very disturbing. I do, however, recommend that you do know a little bit of racing before indulging yourself in this film. Everything in this film is actually very enjoyable, you know, especially the story. If there was one word I would use, you know, to describe this film, it would probably be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Loved every minute. I also loved the aspect that they showed a lot, you know, before their careers, and not even just the middle. They actually showed the beginning, you know, when they first started and how they started, instead of just showing how they started and then continuing on until the downfall and maybe the rise, depending on how the story went. You know, but what I do love is when you guys hit that subscribe button. So make sure you guys do that. Also, please share on Facebook and on Twitter, because what's more awesome than a Gare Bear in a cat suit? Yeah, I'm looking at you, Daryl. Yeah, so please also make sure you give it a big thumbs up. You can do that right over here somewhere. I actually haven't done that in a long time, but please favorite my videos, give it a thumbs up. Where our next adventure is going to take some flight, and we're going to blast off into space with some gravity, so make sure you guys stay tuned.